So I want to take a minute to talk about Car Dealer Sim because it's weirdly good. It's one of those sims that has the perfect amount of jankiness to it, but also a very addictive gameplay loop. And when I say jank, it has that simulator jank where the models look kind of like uncanny a little bit, does that simulator feel to them, the physics are a little bit off, and the ragdoll physics are pretty fun in the game, but this jankiness adds to it. But where the game really shines is the hardest thing to do in a simulator, and it's to have a very addictive gameplay loop. The gameplay loop is so simple, but it works. Buy a car as cheap as possible, wash it, wax it, polish it, fix it up, and sell it for as high as possible. And how they implemented these mechanics just makes it very addicting. Like any other simulator in this style, the initial tasks are very tedious, such as washing the car, you have to put on the soap and then wash off the soap and all that. At first, dealing with the rust on cars is so tedious, but with time, once you get those upgrades, it's so satisfying. So the game kind of captures that magic of progression where you feel rewarded being able to process more cars a lot more efficiently. So you begin with this very tedious process of scraping off the rust, adding putty, sanding down the putty, and then spray painting the car to this better, more efficient process with upgraded tools that makes it so much more satisfying. And this game just captures that loop of being able to get a car in, wash it, wax it, fix it up, sell it. And it's just so addicting. And I think what this game does so well is it lets you to be as scummy as possible as a used car dealer. And this game just lets you be the scummiest used car dealer as possible because you're just scraping off rust and spray painting over it. You're putting tape on holes in the exhaust system. You're just fixing the odometer so it looks like the car has less miles on it, which is highly illegal. But because you're a used car dealer, anything goes to make that money. I didn't expect to get hooked so much on it, but the gameplay loop is very addictive and it's just a chill game to play when you put something on. Overall, it's a fun little addictive simulator that's just fun to play. Now I want to talk about some things I have issues with Car Dealer Sim. As much as I love it and how addicting it is to me, there are some issues with it that I just want to discuss. I think the biggest thing about it is that you can't fail in this game. Like there's almost no way to lose money. In my 5 hours of playtime with this game, I don't think I've ever lost money, and there's only been one time I came really close and I made a couple $100s off it, the vehicle that I sold. So I broke even basically, but I don't think I've ever lost money. So you do all these things to fix up the car, to wash it, to make it look nice, and it's pretty much for nothing in a way because you're always going to make money. Another game I love comparing it to is like Storage Hunter, because Storage Hunter Sim added this hard mode that got me hooked because when you make deals on auctions in that game, you can lose money at any time. You can overcommit too much cash to a object. So I think Car Dealer Sim would be so much more exciting if there was some sort of hard mode, a more difficult mode, where you can lose money on cars. Like there is a risk of bankruptcy. So when there's that risk of potentially losing money, making money is so much more exciting. So when you're buying these used cars and trying to fix them up, you never know how much money you need to sink into them because you may gain money or lose money depending on how much you repair it. I think a big improvement on this game would just simply be making it harder or adding a difficulty slider for people that want that excitement of potentially losing money and going bankrupt in this game, because I'm one of those people that would like to have a little bit of a risk in this game. I know the devs are pursuing a little bit more of a casual experience, but adding a hard mode just adds some freshness, adds some risk to being a used car dealer and actually having to go through all these processes to maximize profit. Another issue I would say is like the gameplay progression seems a little bit slow and capped at some point. I think the biggest issue with progression is it feels a little bit slow, or there isn't enough there because you get those upgrade tools pretty quickly with the early levels, but beyond that, each level up doesn't seem that substantial. You don't really get too much out of it. Once you get those upgrade tools initially after you hit level 2 and 3, it doesn't feel like there's really too much else to do when you're leveling up because yes, you can get employees later on, but between what you get with your upgrade tools and getting that first employee, there isn't really too much to gain from leveling up. In other simulators, you typically unlock things progressively, getting small gains each time, and in this, it doesn't feel like you get that many progression milestones. And something I think this game would benefit if you had some kind of small side shop where you can sell some items like air fresheners and stuff, just so you had a little bit of variety, so you can have your main used car dealership, but also have some kind of side business going on, so each level unlocks some inventory for that side shop or something. Overall, the main point is that going from one level to another after you get those initial upgraded tools doesn't feel like that big of a jump or that much is introduced between the level ups, because you have to go from level 3 to level 7, where 7 has some big upgrades, but between those two levels, there's really not too much happening. I think another issue with the game is that it's not too balanced in some areas, because the most value you get is from washing, polishing, and fixing up the rust on the car visually so you make it look nice. But with the engine and everything else, if you replace any parts, it doesn't really add too much value. So you're kind of motivated to avoid a whole section of the game of repairing the car itself, just focusing on the visual aspect, which kind of makes sense as a used car dealer, but it kind of takes out a whole game mechanic of fixing up the car. Overall, I think that's just a balancing issue that will be fixed eventually. The two big things is the progression system needs to be fleshed out a little bit better, have a little bit more things you gain per level up, so it adds to the excitement, so you feel like there's more progression happening with each level up. And also, I think they should have a difficulty slider for people that want a little bit more risk, a little bit more excitement when you're making these deals, because a little bit of risk in a game kind of makes it more satisfying when you do profit. At the end of the day, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching, consider subbing, and catch me on a live stream sometime.